Okay, this is my dad, Jeff Heschke, and we're gonna
Hello.
interview about his job. First of all, what is your career path?
My career path is I am the Wapaka Foundry Plant 1 layout foreman. As part of the engineering department at the Wapaka Foundry.
What position did you start and how did you work your way up?
I started shoveling sand on a maintenance position on third shift in Plant 2 and Plant 3. Um, that's kind of the starting point where most people start years ago.
Okay. What previous jobs did you do that helped you get into the position that you are in now?
So I've had a pretty lengthy career at the Wapaka Foundry. I've been there for 33 years now. I started shoveling sand and then I moved into a molding machine operator, iron pourer, and I worked there for 5 or 6 years, and then I went into the mill room as a grinder and a tumble machine worker. From there, I did a lot of quality control stuff, and then I transferred over to the Wapaka Plant 1, where I worked in the Diesomatics, um, otherwise known as the VMM machines now. And during that time, I helped do a lot of work on the patterns to get them ready to run on machines and stuff like that. And then the opportunity came to work closer to the pattern shop because I worked with them a lot. So at that point in time, when I was working close with the pattern shop, there was an opening in the layout department, which has got a lot to do with patterns and castings to check them dimensionally to make sure that they are dimensionally correct, either to a blueprint or a CAD model. And at that point, I've worked in our layout department for approximately 20 years now. And after my supervisor retired, I took over his position.
Are there any advancements in your job and are they or would they be worth it?
There's been many opportunities that I've actually turned down, not in my department, because when you're the foreman, you're the leader in that department. That I've turned them down because the career advancements usually typically go from an hourly paid employee to a salary paid employee. In the engineering part of it, where they actually just build the patterns, they tell a company how to build them, and that doesn't really appeal to me because I'm more hands-on, and I'd rather just work on the stuff than have somebody else build it, and you never really know what the outcome is. So if they built it right or built it wrong, they don't really know until we check it and we find out if it's right or wrong. And at that point, then we work as a team together with our engineers to find out how we should fix it, which is really part of our job. We're really a troubleshooting department for all the departments in the foundry.
And the salary would be less than what you would be making.
Salary typically starts out a little bit less than what I make now, and it's more for a younger person to come in from college to start out at that minimal wage and work their way up over over a long career. A salary position would have paid off, but because I started in this a little bit later and the opportunities came up a little bit later on in life, they've kind of stripped a lot of the benefits from the salary packages, such as pensions, better insurances and stuff like that. So it really would not pay off for me at this point in my life to take a salary position.
At the end of the day, do you feel successful at your job?
Yes, every day it's something new every day. We fix a lot of things. We take pride in making sure that we get things that are correct and we're sending the customer exactly what they want.
Could your job eventually be taken by robots?
Um, I do not believe that it would ever be able to be taken by robots because there's a lot of common sense and a lot of experience that really I don't think a robot could tell the difference between good and bad sometimes, as far as machining if a casting that we make goes to a machine shop, we have to use some of our experience that knows that will be okay. Even if it's not perfect, it'll be okay because a lot of the material that we make our castings out of get machined off in the long run anyway.
What characteristics does your job require?
There is a lot of geometry involved in our layout department.
Okay, so the other video cut out, but what characteristics does your job require?
My job requires a lot of common sense, but math is probably one of the key ingredients to what we do, especially when you're doing blueprint reading. Geometry is there's a lot of geometry that's involved with things. Also a little bit of trigonometry once in a while. The computers kind of help us with that, but we also do a lot of stuff with our CAD software. So you have to be pretty good at knowing what you're looking at, drafting, drawing things. So there's a lot of little things that go into it, but I'd say common sense is probably priority one.
Next question.
Yeah.
What benefits do you get?
Well, the benefits are, as the U.S. goes, is they've been decreasing slightly every year, but we get health insurance, 401k, there's obviously job security. The foundry's been around for a long time.
What age do you recommend starting a 401k?
Well, I put in a 401k as soon as you possibly can, to start that tax savings. It's pre-tax money, so it's kind of like if you put $100 into it, it's really only costing you about 50, maybe 40. So that's key. But when you start getting closer to retirement, there's other things that you can do for savings that can keep some money liquid just in case. HSA programs are very good to put money into because that keeps on building for future, so that if you wanted to, you can invest that. And also that money can be spent, you don't lose it, so that money can be spent to help pay for more health insurance as you keep on going after you retire.
And what do bonuses look like for you?
They aren't as good as what the good old days were, but there's a lot more employees working there, so they're not quite as good.
Like annually?
We used to get them 4 times a year. Sometimes it would be a raise in the spring, just a special raise. Now we get them biannually, so every 6 months we usually get a bonus.
And then briefly explain what your job consists of. Like what you do.
So I've got a little picture here if Maya wants to show. This was taken a while ago, but this is what our laser scanner somewhat looks like. We've upgraded since this picture's been taken, but what it is a data collector. So it's got a laser and a camera. The laser bounces off of whatever you're scanning and captures those data points, and it's capable of doing about 900,000 data points a second. So it's almost like spray painting. I've got another picture here that shows this. I scanned my hand many years ago, and from that scan I can also dimension it. So I have a CAD coordinates that starts from here. We have an X, Y, and a Z. Z meaning depth, X goes to the left and to the right, and Y goes up and down, but I made that coordinates on my wrist, and then I kind of measured my fingers, to show you how far away that is, and it shows you X, Y, and Z, which way it goes. I've also got a few things. So this, what we're looking at right here, is somewhat some of the things that we do. This is actually a scan of a customer that they gave us a CAD model that they wanted us to build a pattern to. And after the iron pours into it, this is what it ended up looking like, which, if you can read this, this is how the casting looks lined up to the locators. On every casting, they have locator areas that we have to come from. We call it 0 in one direction, the other direction, and the other direction is a 3D. So this is what it's not supposed to look like. As you can see, anything, how do I get this to go a little bit smaller down here? Sorry, I'm not used to working this computer, but we have tolerance scales set at ±1. Anything that's in tolerance is within ±1 millimeter, and anything beyond the tolerance, just so we can see which way it's leaning towards, we have this going past our tolerance. And plus stock is yellow, orange to red. Minus stock is blue, light blue, darker blue, and a real dark blue. So this is what it looks like on, sorry, I'm not familiar with this computer. So this is what it looks like on one side, this is what it looks like on the other side. So to me, that shifted. So what I did was I set up and I offsetted locators to get this to look better. So now that we have this all looking better, now I know how to fix this casting, and we actually sent it out. And now everything is green, except for you get a little blue dot here and there, which is normal. That's grinding areas. But we had to have conference calls with the customer, and we have to, tell them what we're seeing and kind of share this information with them and what we're going to do to fix the pattern so that we can get a good casting. And actually, we just got done doing this one. We added a little bit of stock to a couple of areas, and everything looks really good now. Here's another example of some of the things that we do. This is a turbo housing. That didn't turn out the greatest, but we have to put this all into a format like this and then show the customer the multiple views that we get. So this would be our Z plus view. This is opposing Z minus view, and you can see the blue areas in there that are short of stock. So I have to figure out how we're going to add the stock to that. It's not as simple as just gluing something in there. We actually have to shim up the whole pattern and then recut back heights that are actually in print now, but will be once we shim up the pattern. So there's a lot of troubleshooting and a lot of trying to figure out what to do, but the software, actually this is our casting that we scanned compared to their CAD model. So you can see the areas, but I can also take these castings and I can cut them apart virtually and show the interior of the castings also, so that I can show them that everything on here matches or doesn't match their CAD model. So that's kind of a brief description of what my average day is. They're proprietary reasons I could not go in and take pictures of everything that we do. But that's kind of a brief explanation of what I do at the foundry. There's a lot more things I'm sure I'm forgetting, and I probably forgot more than what half the people there know. because I've been there for so long, but it's, you know, a lot of experience.
And how many of those do you roughly do per day?
We actually have 2 laser scanners, so there's myself and another guy that do most of the scanning. Then there's another guy that works on just a strict portage table that on a good day we may be able to do. It depends if we have to cut castings open or not. Some customers don't require us to do a whole lot. They just want to see a couple pictures and they're good. I also have another guy that runs a motorized CMM that just does dock studies, which pertains to like 5 pieces of each casting cavity every time we run it, just to ensure the customer's getting, you know, that it doesn't deviate too much from what they've been getting, so it doesn't mess up their machine centers. So you know, some days we get one thing done, the next day we might get 10 things done. It really depends on the problems that we run into.
Alrighty, thanks.